Chapter 3. It was their second night together. She had tried to be helpful all day and sat still, waiting for Aneth to speak. It has been 70 harvests since I came to Wisteria. Aneth paused, her face pained. She did not like to see her in pain, so she reached out her hand and covered Aneth's. Thank you, Tilly. She cringed at hearing the name she had chosen to tell Aneth earlier that day. Tilly had been her rabbit's name. Unable to say her S sounds, she had named the rabbit Silly, but it always sounded like Tilly, so the name stuck. It wasn't a complete lie, she told herself. It was silly she didn't share her name with her new friend. I don't like talking about what happened. Seeing Aneth's pain, she had no desire to rush her. I have never told anyone what happened. Only Audie and I know, and Audie hasn't been here for a long time. After another pause, she began again. Her voice sounded different. I am from Khalid, a village many, many miles away. I had no business going alone so far from home. My wild spirit guided me when wisdom would have been a better guide. I told no one where I was going or that I was going, and I am also sorry for that. It was a Solmna summer, just like this one, every 10 years. I was the only person from Khalid to go, or at least the only one who showed up to the binding, but I am getting ahead of the story. I had read a children's book on Wisteria. That is how I knew it existed. But when I asked my mother about it, she became unusually quiet. She asked me where I had heard about it, and I told her I found the book in my grandmother's trunk in the attic. It was gone the next time I went to read it. I had read it only twice before asking about it. That's how I learned the name Solmna Summer. There had been a drawing of a covered moon in the book. I had been seven the last time there had been a covered moon, but I remembered it. I was 11 when I learned what the covered moon meant, and knew that it would be a Solmna summer and 6 more summers. I remembered the Solmna moon was when summer was hottest, and I prepared for it. I did not know how long it would take to walk to Wisteria, so I left before the snow left the mountains. It took me 6 hard weeks to get there, and I would not have made it if I hadn't found Audie and the others from Balag. Traveling alone for over a month had left me exhausted and nearly starving. I had worried I wouldn't make it in time, and the worry had used up my resources as much as the traveling. Stumbling across the prairie, I saw their campfire in the distance. Fortunately, they were good people, for I lacked the sense of caution. Audie told me he heard me before he saw me. Unsure if I were human or an injured animal, he left the others to explore the sound. I had fallen for what I considered the last time. Too dark to see anything but the glowing fire and silhouettes in the distance, I had rolled my ankle, and the pain kept me from considering moving any further. Hello? Is anyone out there? I heard him call out. Desperate for help, I answered, ignoring my usual pride. Keep talking, he instructed as he followed my babblings. He found me quickly, and though it was dark, he knelt beside me. I told him how hungry and hurt I was and how badly I needed water. I'm pretty sure that was what I was babbling about. We have supplies at the fire, and I will be able to see your ankle by its light. Do you think you can put any weight on it? He asked. I thought I could, so he helped me to stand. I liked him instantly. He put my nerves at ease and was the first person to talk to me since I had left a town 2 weeks before. Bracing myself for the pain and using his arm for support, we slowly made it to the fire. Independent by nature, I was embarrassed to meet people so dependent on his help. Foolish also, I met their gazes with my haughty assessment of them. Time and regret give you many opportunities to replay moments of pain. I see how I furthered mine. The next morning, with splints to support my ankle, We started our journey together. Humiliated that I would be slowing the group down, I immediately started to isolate us from the others. It would take us another 5 days to get to Astera, and each day Audie stayed back with me, and each night we were the last to get to the fire, often reaching it after the others had gone to sleep. Others offered to take a turn with me or to create a gurney and carry me, but my pride would not allow for their kindness, as I didn't see it that way then. I only saw what I expected to see, reasons I was a burden and why they wouldn't like me. It was hard to heal my ankle when I asked so much of it, but each day it did feel better, and by the time we reached Wistera, it was almost painless to put weight on it. Eager to redeem myself, I missed opportunities to get to know the others, and being the only one from Khaled, I did not feel like part of the Bela group. Aneth was silent for a few minutes. It is not a good feeling to share the memories that have been locked in my brain for 70 years. She was trying to decide what to do when Aneth spoke. I do not blame you if you do not want to stay with me any longer. Startled, she hastily spoke. I do not know why you would say that. You have not said anything to make me feel like leaving. Maybe not yet. Aneth sighed heavily. She could tell the emotional stress of sharing her story was weighing heavily on Aneth, and despite her curiosity, she suggested they wait another day to finish it. Page break. Every other day was market day, so it was time for Aneth to sell her baked goods. Of all the people in Wistera, Aneth seemed to be the oldest. Aneth was treated with the same kindness she gave, which left her wondering why Aneth had called herself an oddity the day they had met. It was later in the afternoon, and no one had come to buy in a while, so she let her curiosity get the better of her and asked, How will we know when the binding is? She had chosen her words carefully. She had no idea what the binding was, but Aneth had spoken about it as if she should, and she didn't want to give away that she knew nothing about the venture past what Aneth had told her. The binding is always the day before the venture. Oh, yes, of course. Sensing her motives, Aneth casually added, the day after the covering and before the venture begins. A young man approached the booth. Hello, Aneth. How are you today? I am well, Roan. How are you? Well as well, he grinned. Will it be the usual today? Yes, please. I tried to keep it exciting by buying the same thing each time. How am I doing? Very exciting by that definition. He took the bundle, thanked her, and left when Aneth called him back. I'm sorry, Roan. I have forgotten my manners. This is Tilly. She inwardly groaned. She was still wrestling with whether or not to tell Aneth her real name, but now she was committed to it. Hi, Tilly, Roan smiled. Are you here for the venture? A slow nod was all she mustered. Aneth, unable to see the nod, responded, Yes, she is. She will be representing... At this she turned to reach for her and admitted, I'm sorry. I don't know where you are from, Tilly. She was becoming quicker at her responses, but somehow she had not realized anyone would ask her where she was from, and had not prepared and answered. Why hadn't she thought anyone would ask her where she was from? It was a very simple question. Seeing her distress, Roan rescued her by saying, I'm sorry, Aneth and Tilly. I will have to hear the answer later. I need to go. Yes, of course, Aneth confirmed. She watched him walk away, smiling and waving at others as he made his way through the crowd. Not waiting for Aneth to repeat the question, she left the booth to be alone. It was the third night, and though she wanted to know more about the venture and Aneth's story, her mind was distressed by her own future and past. Aneth had been nothing but kind to her. She felt bad about lying to Aneth. Neither of them had spoken for a while. She noticed the yellow flowers had wilted. I'm sorry, Aneth. I'm sorry I lied to you. Coming out of her reverie, Aneth accepted the apology. I'm not ready to tell you about who I am or where I came from because I haven't made sense of it myself. Aneth nodded and, reaching across the table, patted her hand. It's okay, Tilly. You can be Tilly until you are ready to be somebody else. Page break. Ready to be somebody else. That was the problem. She had no idea who she was, who she had been, or who to become. Lying on her mat, listening to Aneth breathe, she was again overwhelmed with the nothing and everything of being alive. Maybe if she shared with Aneth what she did know about herself, she could help her make sense of it. What would she share? What would she leave out? Why would she leave parts out? Her mind raced and she felt anger. Anger that she couldn't just be. Why couldn't she just be? What did she have to be ashamed about? She had been young when she left her home. Surely she had done nothing to bring on this shame or anger. But yet it was there. Tossing in frustration, she hit her elbow on the ground and unconsciously let out a yelp. Are you okay, little one? Aneth's voice called out in the dark. Sorry, she responded. Yes. Within seconds, the soft breathing resumed. Little one. That was what he always called her. She missed him. Aneth had never called her little one before, and for good reason. She was at least a foot taller than Aneth. Aneth had commented on how nice it was having her around so she didn't have to use the step stool to get to the top shelf. Little one. She wanted to be little again. She wanted to play games with Palef all day and have stories read to her. But even in thinking about it, she did not feel it to be true. Something felt very different in her body when she thought about how she felt around Palef and how she felt around him. Why had Palef never come to get her? Maybe that's what she felt upset at. Maybe that's why she felt upset when she thought of Palef. But she never wanted Palef to come. Why? She knew why. She never felt safer than when she was with him. She didn't have anything to prove. He never looked at her like she wasn't trying hard enough when she knew she could try no harder. She never had to try to get his attention or earn his love, and she was never afraid in the cave. But Palef had taken care of her, and she felt bad for not missing her. Palef had taught her so many things, and Palef kept her safe when she was frightened by her father. Her father. Why was she always afraid of him? There was something she wanted to remember. What was it? Into her mind, an image of her mother floated. Mother, where did you go? Why didn't you come back? She couldn't remember her face, but she could remember playing with her mother's long, dark hair. Sometimes she would brush it. A memory came with surprising sharpness. She was sitting next to her mother in front of her mother's dressing mirror. They were both wearing white nightgowns, and the candle made the scene all the more poignant. You are lovely, my little rosebud, her mother had said sweetly. How had she forgotten that nickname? Something in her stomach ached, and it spread across her body as she thought of her mother. Tears rolled into her ears and startled her back to the present. Tucking her hands behind her head, she went back to find more memories. She smiled as she remembered playing hide-and-go-seek together. She had not been a good hider, but her mother was excellent at not finding her. Maybe that's why she couldn't find her way home. No, she chided herself. Why hadn't she come home? Palef's voice came back to her. Your mother loved you very much. She would have come home if she could have. Something in Palef's voice hadn't felt right. Even as a child, she had known that. But how? She never asked her father about her mother. Why? Breathing deeply, she allowed her mind to remember standing outside his library. Her mother was inside with him. 5 years you have lied to me, her father said furiously. I have never lied to you, her mother's soft but firm voice responded. She had wanted to see their faces, to know if everything was okay, but when she opened the door, her mother quickly took her to Palef. That must have been about the time her mother left. She then spent all her time with Palef. She had pretended Palef was her new mom, but she had never brushed Palef's hair.